Released in 2012 as a theatrical short before Wreck-It Ralph, Paperman has an incredibly simplistic story. Boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl back. To be more specific, a young man, named George, meets a young woman, named Meg, on the train platform, but they're separated just as they're getting to know each other. Spotting her across the street while he's at his crappy day job, he turns his stack of work papers into a series of paper airplanes to try and get her attention. When that fails, wouldn't you know it, the paper airplanes magically come to life to pointedly reunite the two of them at the end of the short. Simple stuff, right? So what is it about Paperman that's captured so many people's imaginations? The short won an Oscar in 2013, there are massive online fandoms for it, and cosplay of George covered in paper airplanes has become rather popular at conventions. Well, since I'm firmly in the category of people who love this short, let's consider a few things. In the spring of 2013, shortly after Paperman premiered, Disney shut down their 2D animation studios after years of disappointing returns to focus exclusively on 3D animated features. And, well, okay, I have to admit, this has worked out incredibly well for them so far. But still, I can't help but feel a twinge of sadness that the greatest animation studio in the Western world had forsaken the very thing that had made them famous. This, unfortunately, is fallout from the success of studios like Pixar and DreamWorks, where studio executives simply assumed that people were more interested in 3D animation rather than 2D, thanks to the massive success of films like Finding Nemo or the Shrek series. It was a classic case of throwing the baby out with the bathwater, blaming everything on the medium and not the stories being told within that medium. People latched on to Finding Nemo not just because of gorgeous animation, but because of memorable characters and a heartwarming story. People latched onto Shrek because it had humor that other animated films weren't doing at that time. The animation, while good-looking and new, was incidental paired with that. By contrast, later-day 2D Disney films like Treasure Planet and Princess and the Frog didn't take off because either their concepts were too far out there, or it was just something we had seen a dozen times before. Even DreamWorks is guilty of this with their early 2D films. While I rather like Prince of Egypt and Sinbad, we had seen a ton of films about Moses and Sinbad before this, and spectacular animation couldn't really change that. There is a bit of controversy about Paperman advertising itself as a 2D short, when in reality a new computer process allowed a hand-drawn look to be applied to 3D models, hence the fluid and lifelike movement. But personally, I think it's a fitting combination, marrying the two styles rather than picking one over the other, and sticking to a simple story that people have obviously connected to. That to me is the essence of any great story, but especially Disney stories. Connections. In classic Disney films, this mostly took the form of romance, but their 3D renaissance has coincided with finding new wrinkles in connections characters can have. Friendship, family, teamwork, camaraderie, the list goes on. Paperman is this distilled down to its purest form. With a little bit of magic, two people can come together and find something they have in common. Disney built their empire on this, and the medium won't matter as long as they keep telling stories like this.